Yes. What is happening? Welcome to episode 1 of 6 as part of our Mission 365 system. We want to give you a blueprint to turn you from this guy who is pretty sad, chaotic, overwhelmed, frustrated, misaligned, drifting, disconnected, to a guy that is operating at the very highest level. And over this 6 videos, we are going to go through different aspects of some of the problems that you face, give you a solution and some actions that you can take into your life, into your business, into your relationships, so that you can win, so that you know exactly what to do, how to start, and where to go from here. All right, does that make sense? So we're going to start with drift. We're going to start with the problem. We're going to start with where are we right now and how we've ended up there. And I think this is a really important phase to start, because what it does is it opens up your eyes to like what the problems are. And we're going to go through the solutions, and over the 6 videos, we're going to go in depth on all of the systems that I teach a lot of my guys on the Mission 365 system. And I'm going to teach you a lot of the systems that we have in those places that are helping a lot of men today. So let's start with this guy here, running a business, maybe a coaching, consultancy, senior leader, whatever it might be here. You've got a family, but you're just kind of like stuck in this cycle of chaos. And the thing with drift, right, is you don't notice it. It's like a stalker. It's like a sniper stalking up on you, and suddenly you wake up one day, you look in the mirror and you go, where is my life going? Why do I feel so empty? Why have I got all of these things on paper that are successful, but I feel empty in here, right? What's going to get me to that next level? So I want to very quickly talk about my own experience of this, because I'm not just making this up from a textbook. This is actually what I experienced when I left the Royal Marines. And I've actually experienced this a couple of times over the last 12 years. And drift for me came in the form of a lack of purpose. So when I left the military, I lacked any form of purpose. Now, when I was in the military, my purpose was at its highest level. I was really proud of what I did, who I was, what I stood for. And my purpose every single day was always to be the very best soldier. It was always to pursue my career, right? I lacked identity. I no longer knew who I was. I used to be Sergeant James Boardman in the Royal Marines, but now I was nobody. That's how I felt. And I worked at a college as a teacher that I hated, and I just would wake up, feel numb, walk to work, do my work, go home, have a beer, go to bed. And I just lost all fight. I lost all my Royal Marine roots or identity. I had no mission in place. There was no mission for me to wake up and go, this is my mission. Whereas in the military, I would wake up and go, I'm working towards passing my sniper course. I'm working towards passing my physical training course. I'm working towards taking recruits through and getting them at the highest standard. There was always something that I was working towards, always something that I was really excited for. But when I left, that no longer existed. And it was through no fault but my own. I was disconnected, completely disconnected from everyone. I was so exhausted. I didn't want to engage with anyone. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I struggled to show up as a father. I struggled to show up as a husband. Hence me getting divorced the first time round, coming straight out. And I just disconnected from the world. I kind of switched everything off. And the last one here was that, in theory, if you had looked at my life, and when I look back at it, I had had a successful career in the military. I was a successful father. But inside, I was empty. I was dead. I didn't felt like I stand for anything. I didn't really recognize any of the achievements that I had. I just kind of fallen into a pity party, right? And I had to change that. And now for a lot of guys, when they come through here, we kind of call this here the cycle of chaos. And the cycle of chaos is following the same cycle of misalignment. So not quite knowing where the next step of your business is going, the next step of your health is going, how you're going to build your relationships with your family and your connections. You lose your edge. So as soon as you drift, you become misaligned, you lose your edge. You lose the sharpness, the standards. They all disappear. So we feel numb. Okay, we end up then going into a coasting phase. So we just coast through life. We're not really pushing business. We're not really pushing consultancy. We're not really pushing our role as a father, as a husband. We're just trying to figure out in our heads all the time. And that is exhausting, right? That's exhausting. That's not what we're looking for. And this affects 4 key things. And these 4 things I've come to learn are the real standout ones. You know, we've worked with over 20,000 men. okay, through free programs, free challenges, through my books, through seminars, through program, like the lot. And these are the things. These things, this cycle, these things that create the cycle affect your lack of progress. And when a man doesn't progress, they get itchy. They start to recognize their own fulfillment, their own success based on progress. And if we are not progressing, if we are just plateauing, there is no progress. So we become quite numb. And the thing that actually got us all of the progress in the early days is not going to be the thing that gets us to the next level. And that's one of the things we need to understand. Okay, fulfillment. We lack that fulfillment because there is no energy, there is no excitement, there is no thrill anymore. It's like, where's the next thing that I'm looking for? What can I latch onto? What can give me fulfillment? How can I give back? Because we've narrowed our thinking, right? Because we're stuck in this cycle. Connection. When we're in this state, we don't connect with our wives as well as we could. We don't connect with our children as well as we could. We don't connect with friends as much. When was the last time you messaged all of the guys to go out? When was the last time you sat down with your wife? When was the last time you took her out? When was the last time the kids run to you at the door going, Daddy? And if it's inconsistent, why isn't it all the time? And then health. Look in the mirror. When you look in the mirror, what does it tell you about yourself? Does it tell you that you're focusing on yourself and that you're a champion and that you're a winner? Or does it tell yourself that you don't have the self-worth or the self-respect to show up and train every single day? Because your body, when I look at a man's body, it tells me everything I need to know about that individual and how they process themselves, right? Until someone turns around and says it's a medical condition, and then I feel like awful. But for the majority of every single businessman that I work with, when I look at them, how can you run your business to the best of its ability? How can you expect your wife to respect you? How can you expect to be a role model if we allow ourselves to go? That's what we're teaching, right? I don't respect myself enough to look good for my family. I don't respect myself enough to have the energy to move forward, right? And that little part of the video will be tough for you to accept, and you're probably cursing me on the other side. But it's just the truth, right? I only ever speak the truth with men. So let's have a look at a couple of things here. So what did I do to change? How did I get out of that rut? Okay, there are a couple of key things here. So there's 5. Number 1, I created principles to follow. Now I'm going to go through principles in some of the later videos with you. This is some of the stuff that I'm going to go into in a little bit more detail over the remaining 5 episodes. I joined a group for accountability. So I joined a business group. I actually become still good friends with the guy that run that. I didn't really know what I was signing up to be honest, but I saw community, I saw accountability, I saw other people trying to win, and it was brilliant. It was very, very basic at the time, but you know what? It's what I needed. I needed to latch on to people that were still encouraged to want more from their lives. I joined the group for accountability as well, so I wanted to make sure that I was getting up, I wanted to make sure that I was doing things that improved the way that I operated. I didn't want to be one of those guys that just talked a good game, that just says this is what I'm going to do and never execute. I wanted to do what I said I was going to do. I studied, I learned how to run a business. When I first started a business, I had no idea what a P&L sheet was. I literally left my job at the college, took my side hustle, turned it into a 6-figure business in 12 months just by watching YouTube. 4 to 5 hours a day. I would watch what people would talk about, like you're maybe watching here, and I would take those small implementations that they gave me and execute, okay? I surrounded myself with winners, not complainers, not moaners, not losers, just winners, people that wanted to win in life. And the thing that I've noticed since I've started doing this is that I've left certain groups, then go to another group because the standard on the new group is much higher, right? You never want to be at the very top of the group. If you're at the top of the group, you're not learning. Okay. And then the last one was pillars to guide me. And I'm going to go through a lot more again of all of these, right? So this kind of led me on to going through the process of, man, there must be other men that go through this. There must be other men that are going through what I'm going through. And there was, of course. And at the time I was running my first business, which was my boot camp. And my physical boot camp, we had 300 members, 400 members. But it was very much about physical. And there was this big urge where I had suddenly slipped into my second drift, which was around 2016 and 17. I've been running my first business for about 4 or 5 years. And I actually wanted to work with men online. I didn't want to do my boot camp anymore. So I drifted. I went through this whole process again, reevaluated myself again, and went straight back to working with men. And what I've done since working with men since 2017, okay, we wrote 2 best-selling books, okay, to help them to understand, for me to understand my message. And we've been working with thousands and thousands of guys, and the thing that we came down to is we wanted to build the Mission 365 system. This is the byproduct of 8 years worth of work. This is the byproduct of speaking to hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands of guys online, on the phone, face to face, and learning what they're going through, learning what their behaviors are, learning how they operate and how they think. And we broke it down into 3 core phases, okay? The evolve, the execute, the embody. And these are the phases that we will go through. These are the phases that I went through here, and these are the phases that a lot of our guys go through when we work with them. So the evolve is breaking this cycle. We've got to get out of this cycle. So the evolve part is evolving into it, okay? So the execute is doing the work. So we will put up a series of videos, we do weekly coaching, we do face-to-faces, we've got a course full of content. And when those people go in and start learning, they start shifting, okay, how they show up. So the execution phase is doing the work, we're breaking the cycle by doing the work, and then we embody it. So all of those things that we're learning, we're starting to build a new identity. So if you think about all of these things that this did for me, it started to shift the way that I thought, my belief system, my confidence levels, my self-worth, my direction, my mission, my connection, my sex life, all of it started to improve. And this here, believe it or not, takes 365 days. Because we have to strip all of your old belief systems out. We have to strip all of the old ways that you're doing things. And we have to put a software update inside of your brain. And you have to go through the process of learning to start. And we have a recruit phase. We have an operator phase. And we go through this core system of 4 different phases that we take you through, which I'm going to go through in some of the other videos. But ultimately, it's evolve, execute, embody. And this takes you from a state of chaos or a cycle of chaos to a cycle of structure, routine, and systems. And that's what will turn that frown upside down, okay? So this is probably maybe where you are. Maybe you are here, and I would love to hear if you are here. It's about opening up in the comments below, right? It's about being honest with yourself. And I think that the thing that we really have to channel in on is making sure that we just start the process. And in my next video, I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on some of the systems we use specifically to help you get to that next level. But that's it for now. And if you want to start watching episode 2, you can click right here and go straight into it and follow the flow. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the other side.